What's one of your most embarrassing moments trying to learn
A
Spanish
lot.
that made you want to just go in a dark hole and hide somewhere and come back out 4 or 5 years later?
Even if the words are part of foul language world, am I allowed to tell the story, or should I go into
No, you're perfectly
a
free to go
lighter
into
tale?
foul language world.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
because that's where it's going. I've told you this personally before. I was in Mexico City, and this was 2010. So this was about 2 years before my peak in Spanish. So, I was trying. I wanted to, when my husband and I, who's then my boyfriend, would walk around the streets, I'd say, you know what, let me do the talking. Tell me how to say it, I'll talk. So I just passively stood by, listened, and would tell me how it went. So we're in Mexico City, and we're terribly hungry, and we've got to catch the bus back to Guadalajara in about 2 hours. So we're
Oh, you're
walking
at a bus
around.
station?
Well, we were in the city center. We're going to go take the bus in 2 hours.
All right.
Yeah, it's back when we would take buses to and fro Guadalajara, Mexico City, good old
Yeah.
8-hour trip. So, let's eat something, get a beer, and then leave. So we're walking around, and there are these dudes outside of a place who said that if you order a beer each, they'll give you a free meal. It's like, that's an awesome deal. I mean, food's probably horrible, but I'll do that. Sounds great. We had to go to an ATM first. So I wanted to tell the guys, you know what? We just got to go to an ATM. We'll be right back. This deal is wonderful. So as this is coming out of my mouth, of course, I want to immediately start shoving it back in. I want to disappear. I want to run away. I tell them, instead of, primero tenemos que ir a un cajero, I said, primero vamos a coger. And of course, the guy's eyes just lit up immediately. They're like, wow, she's extremely honest.
You and me?
I just grabbed his hand. I'm like, we need to leave right now. We're not coming back to this place. I don't care. I don't want to walk down the street ever again. We need to leave now.
And that's a classic one. That's a classic. I don't know who hasn't run into that one. I don't know.
Yeah, cajero, coger, cajero, coger. I mean, and then I have other silly ones where, not long ago, sometimes when you're speaking the other language really quickly, you still have bumps along the way, silly mistakes that are incorrect, but they just come out of the way. I wanted to say algodón about, a sweater, and I said albóndiga. So now it's the, meatball sweater. It's not cotton anymore. It's albóndiga. So
yeah,
those tend to be the mistakes I stumble upon myself.
Well, for anyone, if anyone that's not familiar with Spanish, and you may be watching this 7 years from now, you get trapped in the word coger, which in Mexico has certain connotations to it. You look in the dictionary, coger means to usually like catch something. That could be catch a ball or catch the bus or something like that.
I think.
The what?
Even pick. That's why there's also escoger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's that. Shrink, encoger.
Yeah, exactly.
But just the word by itself, coger, in Spanish, is understood as fuck.
In Mexico.
In Mexico. You go to other countries, even Latin American countries, and you can say that word, and people from other Latin American countries whose native language is Spanish, when they come to Mexico, they fall in that same trap.
Right.
Using that word. Yeah.
Which is fascinating, actually. You're absolutely right.
Can't speak for all the Latin American countries and all of their little slangs and everything, but in Mexico is such a famous one, such a famous trap that foreigners fall into.
And the background behind coger has to do with the Spanish conquest in this country, when they would tell the Spaniards that they could choose a native woman to have sex with. Yeah. Really? So they could cogerla. And so that's why in Mexico, the idea of coger has become fuck, because of that idea where they could choose and select the woman that they would conquer.
I had not heard that story before. That's an interesting story. But there's so many little pitfalls that you fall into, and you would never know it if you're just looking at the dictionary, but you use those words and you can kind of know. I mean, you get to a point after a while where you can see just in people's eyes and just the reactions. you learn to feel your way through that, you know that something that you said wasn't quite right.
Absolutely. And you kind of almost feel it immediately because that vibe is there. You see those reactions from the listeners. Hey, this was not correct.
And sometimes it's not a dictionary thing. Sometimes you just didn't pronounce it like it should be pronounced. You wanted to say one thing, but the way you pronounced it came out as something else. I remember back in Kansas, I went out to eat with a couple of Mexican girls that I knew. I think we went to a Mexican restaurant. I don't remember. But we were talking about, well, what kind of foods do you like? And I was beginning with Spanish. I could, have a conversation, but I said, well, what kind of foods do you like? Do you like mariscos, seafood? I said, yeah, I like that. Not all seafood, but pero me gusta mucho los maricones. Now, in my mind, I was trying to say camarones, but it came out maricones. I don't know if it's like the whole combination camaron, marisco, maricon. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Totally.
And they looked at me like, really? Tell us more. All right. I think I said, you don't know what that is? I said, am I not saying that right or what? I don't know. I said, give me a pencil and I'll draw one. So I tried to draw a shrimp, but it's so poorly drawn. It's so poorly drawn that I was like, he's really saying maricon.
He's confirming our doubts. Oh no.
Oh man. I'll never
Yeah, that's a good one too. That's a really good one.
Maricon.
The maricon in Mexican Spanish, at least, don't know about other forms of Spanish, but a maricon is, you could call someone a maricon if they're like a crybaby, like a wuss, a pussy.
Of course, but it often gets referred to as the derogatory form of gay, right?
Gay,
so yeah,
exactly.
So sometimes you say like a derivative of that, like marica instead of a maricon.
Which is my cousin's name. Marica is a very popular name in Poland.
Really?
Yeah. And I keep thinking, what if my name had been Marica? I'd have to leave this place, or I don't know, come up with some good comeback.
It's just one of those things. If you wanted to say, hey, don't be a sissy, so you say marica, but even marica, it gets mixed in with that connotation. So.
Absolutely. Depends on the context.
So nowadays, where everybody, it raises a brow if you say those kinds of words, I haven't found myself using it.
Me neither, to be honest. Just my cousin's name when I'm talking to her. I'm like, hey, Marica, do you want to know a fun fact about your name? And you know what's even funnier is that as a child, I would go to Poland quite often and visit. She was always the crybaby of the cousins. Like, your name is pretty appropriate.